the gap, standing for Jesus, standing in the gap for family and friends, standing in the gap, one love for all, so we all can make it in.
Get into the continuation of the study on the environment. We found out that it's very important that we not ignore the current events and the things that are happening in the world, things that are on people's mind, things that are that you're struggling with, and all that. So what we've done is we've created what we call the Gap News, and the Gap News is to address those issues in reference to God's word. And this part of the ministry has been handed over to Marvel. You just met Marvel, and Marvel's going to come back and she's going to present Gap News. I'm not sure exactly what she's got for you, but it's always good. Marvel?
I'm back. So we had our Mercy, Mercy Me, and we finished that series of Gap News. And you know, I was thinking about the one we have today. This one is Lord Have Mercy. I'm calling it the Impeachment Shutdown.
The Speaker's made a terrible bargain. In order to keep the speakership, he's willing to do things that I think he knows are inconsistent with constitutional processes, number one. Number two, I think it says that there is a group of MAGA Republicans who genuinely want to have a fundamental change in the way the system works. And that's what worries me the most.
Mr. Crockett from Texas.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Before I begin my questioning, I want to remind everyone that the information recorded in the FBI Form 1023 that my Republican colleagues keep citing is not evidence of anything. This form reflects years-old, secondhand, unverified information from a Ukrainian oligarch as relayed to the FBI by a confidential human source. These unverified secondhand allegations have been repeatedly debunked and undermined, including by the confidential human source who relayed this information to the FBI. The tip recorded in the Form 1023 was thoroughly explored by the U.S. attorney handpicked by Donald Trump, which was Attorney General William Barr, and the assessment was closed. Finally, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner who worked with the Ukrainian oligarch in question, told this committee in a transcribed interview in July that he had no knowledge of any such payments allegedly described in this form. Repeating the same lies will not somehow turn them into truths. Kind of like the election that Trump lost. Say it with me. He lost it. Repeating the same lie that he won wasn't going to turn the election around. The lost in this chamber keep pushing lies and lunacy on behalf of a multi-time loser. So if we're going to talk about China, let's go ahead and talk about China. And let's talk about the dealings. And let me point out the fact that right now, each of you has admitted that none of you are fact witnesses. We walked in without facts. And unfortunately, because what we say isn't necessarily evidence, we have wasted the American people's time, and we are going to walk out of this chamber and we still have no facts that are leading to anything. But let me give y'all a little bit of tea while we're here. So I have a document that I will ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record. It's a fact sheet on President Trump's shady business dealings with the Chinese government.
What are you entering in? A record from who?
This is from the Congressional Integrity.
Congressional Integrity Project, the dark money pack?
I object.
I object to that too.
Of course y'all gonna object, but we gonna talk about it. So it says Trump has extensive financial ties to the Chinese government. President Trump collected millions from Chinese government-owned entities while in office. I have the best tenants in the world, President Trump was well aware of the multi-million-dollar lease to Chinese interests. President Trump promised to donate foreign government profits while in office, but he donated less than a third of his proceeds from the Chinese government. President Trump maintained 3 foreign bank accounts while in office, including one in China. President Trump's business with China raised legal and ethical concerns. President Xi loves the people of China. He loves his country, and he's doing a very good job. Let me tell you something. I don't want to talk about what y'all want to act like is some big mystery, because we keep sitting here and Professor Gerhardt, just to be clear, as my colleagues have even tried to provide evidence, which they're not the ones to provide evidence, have you ever heard them say "if" since we've been sitting here for I don't know how long?
Yes, I've been taking a tally.
Oh, okay. Can you show us? Can you tell us what the tally is?
More than 35 times, the Republican witnesses and Republican members of the committee have used the word "if."
Thank you so much for that. Because honestly, if they would continue to say "if" or "Hunter" and we were playing a drinking game, I would be drunk by now. Because I promise you, they have not talked about the subject of this, which would be the president. But let me tell you something that was so disturbing as I walked in to this chamber today. As I prepared, I said, what is the crime? Because when you're talking about impeachment, you're talking about high crimes or misdemeanors. And I can't seem to find the crime. And honestly, no one has testified of what crime they believe the president of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
Chair now recognize Mr. Frost from Florida for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. An impeachment inquiry is a grave undertaking that is supposed to be in response to evidence of a crime. Mr. Chairman, you have questions. Many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in this hearing have questions, but questions are not the basis for an impeachment. Evidence is. Mr. Turley, on September 1st, Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that he would not launch a fake impeachment inquiry, a sham impeachment inquiry. But then on September 12th, just 12 days later, he completely changed his mind. My question is why? In those 12 days, did hard evidence appear that clearly and directly links the President of the United States, Joe Biden, to a crime?
I can't answer as to what was it that pushed the Speaker to make the decision. The courts have said you don't have to have that vote on the floor. I think it is a best practice. But I'm
very interested in those 12 days. And we know you're not a fact witness and you're talking about things that are already public. But is there anything that came up in those 12 days that linked the President of the United States to a crime? Yes or no?
I don't have any recollection of those 12 days.
Yeah, nothing. I can tell you it's nothing. And we've heard even from you that this is why we have this impeachment inquiry. But let's be clear, this inquiry has been going on since the day we got here. Since the day I was sworn in at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, this impeachment inquiry started. Let's pull back the curtain on what's really going on. There's no evidence of crime, only desperation and political pressure. This is what's going on. The far right called for the sham impeachment hearing with no evidence at the beginning of this year when we first got started. This impeachment inquiry has been going on. This is not the first hearing we've had in relation to this. On September 1st, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says, no, we're not going to do that. We don't have the evidence. We don't have the votes for it to pass on the House floor. We're not going to do it. A good decision, in my opinion. But then just 12 days later, 12 precious days later, something happens. I'm not sure what, but something happens because then the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, comes out and says, yes, we will do an impeachment inquiry. So what happened between these 12 days? It's very simple. 3 threats from members of his own caucus at the direction of former President Donald Trump changed his mind. Number one, the threat to force a vote on impeachment, which would lose on the House floor and be another embarrassment in the long list of embarrassments this Congress for the Speaker of the House. Number two, they would threat to shut down the government, something that will happen in just 2 days. And number three, and this is the one that really got to him, they said, you about to lose your job. And they said, we will remove you as Speaker from the House. And that scared him so much that Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House of the United States of Representatives, third in line to the presidency, completely caved due to the threats of people within his own caucus. This fake impeachment is based on desperate political calculation, not any evidence. And Mr. Chairman, you say this hearing is to establish the basis for this fake sham impeachment hearing, but these witnesses are not giving us any basis or giving us any evidence or giving us any solutions.
They are giving us several times.
I reclaim my time.
I have to stop because that's not a true statement.
I reclaim my time. These witnesses are not giving any answers. They're just asking more questions. We have one witness who has a lot of questions, Ms. O'Connor. Dubinsky, one witness who knows something about accounting but has no real involvement in what's going on. And Mr. Turley stopping here on his way to his next Fox News hit. This is not a serious inquiry. And impeachment is something that's very serious. And we have to ensure that we focus on the wants and needs of the American people. This is all for nothing. Half the crowd is left. There's no line outside. The goal here to distract from the government shutdown is not going to work. And to the Speaker, I have to say, you're being played by these extremists and Donald Trump. It's costing us our economy. And this entire fake impeachment inquiry isn't about the United States. It's about Hunter Biden. And the only thing the president can be guilty of here is being a father. I yield back to the ranking member.
Chair now recognize Mr. Turner from.
Sorry, I yield to the vice ranking member.
No, the gentleman from Florida yielded back. Chair
said he yielded back to the vice ranking member.
I yielded to the vice ranking member.
Thank you, and I'll claim some of that extra time back as well. Much of the Republican case and evidence has relied on words from Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden said this, Hunter Biden said that, therefore, case closed, there's something here. Professor Gerhardt, we know, I believe it's wide knowledge with the public, that Hunter Biden sadly was dealing with substance misuse disorder, correct?
Correct.
He's been under indictment, correct?
Correct.
Is this a reliable witness that you would deem?
Probably not.
In your assessment?
Gentle's ladies' times.
Thank you very much.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Armstrong. You seek recognition.
Unanimous consent.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy can't seem to catch a break.
15 rounds of voting before McCarthy was able to take control of the gavel.
Political battle over raising the debt ceiling.
Chaos in Congress as the government lurches towards a possible shutdown.
McCarthy has a razor-thin majority in the GOP-led House.
Congressman, it's good to see you again under stupid circumstances, though. And there's really no valid reason why you and I should be having this actual conversation. No. This is not an ideological debate. It's nothing. It's nonsensical because Donald Trump has told a bunch of Republican chaos agents to shut the government down.
MAGA Republicans tonight are the failures. They have failed to govern. They have failed to fund, and in their failure to govern and fund, they fail to protect. And Ali, because their number one priority is Donald Trump, the cost of that priority, the expense that we all pay, is that the troops will not receive their paychecks, the cops will not receive their paychecks, the border will not be secure, but the House will again continue to operate on behalf entirely of Donald Trump. They are the failures, and the country will continue to fail until the keys of government are turned over to someone else.
So, Mr. Dubinsky, do you know who said the following? We had thousands of members across the country who returned holiday presents because they needed cash, missed a mortgage payment, took out a short-term loan, and ran up their credit card debt because they had no paycheck for the month.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point. And stop the clock for Ms. Tlaib.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that.
All government employees are going to get paid at the end of this month, and also the Democrat Party forced shutdowns on the American economy, hurting businesses,
reclaiming order,
forcing people to lose their jobs. It's behind in school.
It's okay. That's not a point of order.
You know what? All right.
That's going to be not true on October 1st.
Hold on, Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Recognizes
but we
Ms.
can't allow
Tlaib.
people to be misleading the American people. We all know. I was here. I was here in 2019 when the shutdown was there for 35 days. Because you know what? You do know who said this?
I lost track of the
I know. Doreen Greenwald. She was a member of the National Treasury Employees Union. She said 150,000 workers in 35 agencies. She said this was the irresponsible 2018-19 Republican shutdown from the previous administration.
Much with a government shutdown looming now, lawmakers failed to pass a deal on Capitol Hill today. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy introducing a short-term spending plan known as a continuing resolution, but it failed to get enough support. If the shutdown happens, 27,000 federal employees in South Carolina will be furloughed without pay. 55,000 active duty and reserve military personnel will be forced to work without pay as well. And if the shutdown lasts more than a month, WIC and SNAP benefits could be in danger. As things stand tonight, the government will shut down tomorrow night at midnight.
What a mess. What a mess. But you know what? I enjoyed seeing those young Congress people bring it. What do you say?
Well, when I look at that, it just reinforces what I keep trying to drill into this into the message of this ministry is that we are in spiritual warfare. Yeah. There can be no other explanation for what is going on up there. And if you had your spiritual eyes on, you probably even saw demons floating around in the background and all that, because when you look at you have a inquiry on impeachment based on no evidence. You have a governmental shutdown for no reason, and it's all being directed by that demonic force who is down in Mar-a-Lago, and he tells them to jump. They say how high.
Yep.
He tells them to move. They say when. He says now. He believes that shutting down the government is going to somehow stop them from prosecuting him, and he's so wrong, because essential services continue during a shutdown, and the functioning of the third portion of the government, the court system, is an essential function, and it would have no effect at all on what's happening in Georgia and New York. So, it's just demonic. That's all. And like I say, I agree. Excuse me, with the backbone of these young representatives to stand up and put the truth out and all that. But we have to keep understanding that our battle is not against flesh and blood. That entire thing is being orchestrated from the spiritual world. Excuse me. And if we don't direct our forces and our power against the spiritual forces, then we're just going to be buffeted around by the changing winds of political aspirations and all that kind of thing. So, and that's not to say that they shouldn't take the stand that they're taking. They should, but understand that it should be directed and ultimately against those spiritual forces that are doing that, because there's no other explanation for all that that's going on.
Well, and I haven't seen any updates today, but this said tomorrow. That's today. Mm-hmm. So today on September 30th, they got to get this done and get it going, or else all of those things are going to happen. People are going to be working without paychecks. People are going to be furloughed. And if it lasts, then people are going to not get their food benefits and all kinds of other terrible things in our economy, all based on, like you said, sweetie, a demonic demand So let's pray, y'all.
Well, we hate to depress you with all that. But understand, we win. In the end, we win. All right. Well, thank you, sweet. We that is something that's definitely in the current events, because it's gonna and it hadn't played all the way out yet. We'll see how it goes. And I feel sorry for those that are gonna have to suffer because somebody doesn't want to get prosecuted. So in any event, there you go. Your Gap News. That's part.